one of the clips I put in today that we won't get to, about right wing, because it was from Right Wing Watch. I just saw earlier before we went on air that YouTube shut down Right Wing Watch's YouTube channel.
Really?
And they appealed, and YouTube said no.
What was the reasoning?
I haven't looked further into it, but I mean that's pretty. I mean that's.
It looks like the thing where like an automated thing, and then they reviewed it and said, "Oh yeah, this is too much right-wing content," which is.
Well,
which is
here's
insane.
the thing. Here's the way it works, and this is what, like, you know, again, this to me is why it's like an antitrust issue. Because their whole model is based upon all this type of automation, and when they double check it, because we've run into this before too. They're not double checking like an assessment of like when the human beings go and check it, they're not going like, okay, wait a second, this is exposing this. The intent of this channel is different or this and that. They just look as to whether the algorithm read the words correctly. So in other words, if I sit here and I say, that person said this bad word, I don't know what it would be, but I'm sure we could come up with some.
Well,
and I was to like accuse that person of saying that word or the subtext being that word or whatever it is, and we got demonetized. They would come in and say, okay, we just did a manual review and that word is in there, and I'm like, but wait, you're not looking at the context. That's basically the works. Here is okay. Here it is. This is from the Daily Beast. They found some video from 8 years ago that they flagged, took down, and that was our third strike, explained. They took down our entire account. The third strike occurred last week and the channel was taken down. Notification that their appeal was rejected. However, wasn't sent until early Monday morning when Right Wing Watch went with the band. So I don't know. Maybe they haven't heard back from them about their appeal. I don't know. I mean, I think that, like, look.
I mean, but I do think there's a danger in, like, I mean, it always, some of like these indiscriminate deplatforming calls, and of course there are extreme cases in which I agree, but like it's gonna, they want on both sides this.
I think I also want to point out, I think there's a problem when people's first reaction is to say, see liberals, this is what you get for pointing out that there are racists on these platforms. You're asking for this censorship because it always goes both ways. You're just naturalizing that decision to come down on the left as you come down on the right. And I think actually there needs to be a little bit less emphasis on the stab in the back myth, what I would call it, but of liberals and free speech.
Well, exactly. I mean, look, first off, my argument is that a channel that exposes and contextualizes these things as opposed to one that just presents it in a glorified way is fundamentally different and better. And I think you can actually have, you know, what other people call censorship, but you can have deplatforming that actually makes sense. I believe that that's the case. If it is problematic, it is problematic because YouTube is so dominant in the marketplace. Yeah. And we have a solution for that because there is no solution from what the other, this is the thing that I find really sort of disingenuous about this. Are you really going to allow for a platform that is going to, that is the dominant platform? You say it's the town square, that it's so important that it's almost like functionally equivalent to the government censoring, okay? That you start crying about First Amendment rights and whatnot. Are you really going to not take issue with a platform that promotes, and look, the bottom line is that racism, calls for that there might be a white genocide are going to sell better than, let's say, I don't know, calls that that's a joke.
Look how much views Ben Shapiro got out of his Islamophobia content, which is like there are no non-radical Muslims in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And look, like the dynamic should not be like, if there's an audience for it, it should be there. Like, I mean, excuse me?
There's
really?
an audience for like that kind of stuff where people like crush and kill little animals.
Right. I mean, should we allow snuff films too?
Right. That's, yeah.
Should we allow snuff films on YouTube? Is it censoring to get rid of snuff films? What about pedophile stuff? It's not, like it's illegal only because we've made it illegal, but snuff films. And so the point being, there is no way to resolve this without government regulation and preventing from this platform being the end all be all. There is no other way. And when people refuse to address the policy and they just complain about the nefarious forces that are arguing in this arena about what should be deplatformed or not, or that any argument to deplatform anything is inherently bad because it could happen to you, I'm sorry. I think there should be a fairness doctrine on television. Do I think it's 100% effective? No. But it would undercut the business model that allows for garbage to get out there. If you undercut the profit motive here for everybody involved, the content providers, the platform, everybody, it's going to be better. Bottom line. That's just the case. Because it's one thing to have a bunch of neo-Nazis out there saying, there's a coming race war. It's another to have a guy who sits atop Fox News saying, there's a good chance there's going to be a race war. And if you take away that profit motive for everybody involved, better things will happen. That's just the bottom line. And you take away the profit motive by you applying antitrust rules and other type of regulations on YouTube, on all of it. And that means we're going to lose money. That means YouTube's going to lose money, and it's going to mean like the shills for this garbage are going to lose money. That's the way to deal with this. And if someone's not offering that up, if they're only talking about the dark liberal forces or the cultural affectations of the people who are calling for censorship, they're selling you a pack of garbage.
I also think it's revealing because there's two ways society can deal with this. One is like a government regulation. The other is the workers can take it into their own hands. And when you hear these stories about Facebook's employees getting a little bit upset about how they work at a giant propaganda machine that basically services the right all day and want to do something about it, you get people trying to discipline them as if they're woke, like liberals,
right?
Disconnected. But those are the workers there. And when you side against them and what they want to do to like maybe stop Dan Bongino from being the #1 trender on Facebook, you are siding with Peter Thiel and all the executives at Facebook that want this to maintain exactly what it is now.
And they'll pretend, no, I'm siding against the idea that human beings should be exposed to whatever they want. But you know what? Like that completely decontextualizes the mechanism in which they're getting it. And everything that mechanism that is delivering it is built upon. And the exploitation that it's built upon, and the exploitation of individual workers, but also the exploitation of society. And there are costs associated with this that are externalities from their business model. So like anybody who's out there just bemoaning the effete or the woke or the whomever that is doing this because of their cultural affectations, they're coastal elites, they're this, they're that, whatever. They're selling you bullshit. Because they're not looking at this structurally, and they're not offering any fix for it beyond a different side should win or everything should be able to flourish. Because everything does not enter into the YouTube algorithm on an even basis. The garbage sells more. The racism sells more. It does. Because racists are more excited to see their racist ideology validated by its existence propagating. That's just the reality of it. That doesn't make it better. The fact that more people want to see it on this platform, the fact that Tucker Carlson's the highest rated guy on cable television, that doesn't validate what he's saying any more than like it validated, what was that sitcom that Galecki was in? All due respect. You know, The Big Bang Theory was genuinely funny because so many people watched it.
Or junk food's genuinely better for you because more people crave it.
Yeah, it's like it's real food because more people want. It's just absurd argument. It's a pathetic market-based argument.
Yes, it's as neoliberal as it gets.
And that does not contemplate any of this, the substructure that creates that popularity or those sales or whatever it is.
And it's not a coincidence that the people making that argument are, you know, free market fundamentalists, capitalists.
Of course. And make no mistake about it. I mean, like when we put out content, you can go on our channel and look at this. We put out substantive stuff about, like, I don't know, whatever it is, history or analysis of politics. It underperforms the stuff where we say Steven Crowder is a poopy head. I'm not proud of that. That's just the existence. And I would not say like the poopy head content must be better because 100,000 people watched it. So that must be better. That's what the people want. I mean, you know, like anybody who's pretending to be even remotely leftist or even left of center, making the argument that if it's more popular, it's better or it proves something, they're selling you a bill of goods. Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.